Well, hey there. It's Wednesday, and I am here with you to talk all about weddings. Hi, I'm Amy. Welcome to Unmistakably You, and welcome to our regular Wednesday 8 p.m. live, where we talk all about hopefully things that are relevant to you in your wedding planning. So, where are you at? Let me know. How are things going? Are you sailing along, getting ready for a 2023 wedding? Are you kind of easing back, getting ready for a 2024 or 25 wedding? I'd love to hear from you. I'm always interested to know how things are going, what's going well, what you're struggling with, and hopefully be here to help and support you along the way. Today, we are here to talk really quickly about something that's kind of top of mind for me because of a couple of experiences that I've had at weddings lately, and that is 3 things not to do in your speeches. Now, you've all presumably seen speeches. You either love them or you hate them. Some people really enjoy and look forward to the speeches at weddings. Some people really kind of dread them and just make sure that they've loaded up at the bar before the speeches start. So whether you love them or hate them, I think we can all probably agree that speeches can be really meaningful and touching. And I mean, ultimately, they are for the couple. They're not necessarily for the guests. And it can be a really personal opportunity for someone to speak honestly and truthfully and lovingly and kindly and thoughtfully about the couple. It can also, if not executed well, be a pretty embarrassing and downright awful portion of the evening. So I have really simple, easy tips to help you to navigate through the process of speeches that hopefully will help to ensure that you are going to fall into the former category of successful speeches instead of the latter category of scary mess speeches. So, first and foremost, I would advise you not to forget to set parameters. So, before you get to the wedding day, long before, like I'm talking probably at least a month before, you're going to want to invite the people that you wish to speak to actually give speeches so that they have enough time to prepare. Now, when I got married, I will freely admit that I forgot to ask my dad to give a speech. I wasn't thinking about it. My head wasn't in that space. And my mom was totally prepared. She had this awesome, meaningful, my mom writes killer speeches. Like seriously, if you need some help, I'll hook you up with my mom. I'm sure she'll give you a deal on a great speech. But I just didn't think to kind of talk through that portion of the day with anybody. And then it got to that point and I was like, Dad, will you say something? And he said something. And I don't really remember what he said because he was making it up off the cuff. So you want to give people the courtesy of letting them know that you'd like them to speak. Also, be aware that there are basically 2 big fears among most humans, and those are snakes and public speaking. And so be aware that if someone doesn't want to speak or isn't comfortable speaking at your wedding, it's not because they don't love you. It's probably just because they are terrified. And there are lots of other avenues that you can explore for them to be able to express those thoughts. They could speak at your rehearsal dinner. They could write you a letter. Don't force someone to speak if they don't want to speak, but do give people the opportunity, if you'd like them to speak, to prepare themselves to put their remarks together and to be able to polish something that they're comfortable delivering. You want to give your speakers a solid time frame. Generally speaking, we recommend 5 minutes or less. And that's going to ensure that your speeches don't drag on for too long. Generally, we assume that you're going to have your kind of 5 standard speeches, which would be in a traditional wedding, maid of honor, best man, parents, and the 2 of you. Now, of course, there are no wedding police, so you don't have to have any of those people speak. You could have different people speak or no speeches at all, although we would definitely recommend you as the couple giving a thank you to your guests for coming. But regardless of how many people are speaking, I still recommend keeping it short and sweet because those memories and reminiscences can kind of drag on. And because they're meant for you, the couple, and not necessarily your guests, they can be a boring part of the evening if your speaker is recounting every element of your life from the day you were born until the day you graduated university. You also want to make sure that you indicate the tone with your speakers. So give them a little bit of an idea of whether you're okay with some humor, whether you'd like things to be really kind of sweet and thoughtful, whether you would like them to just kind of shoot straight from the hip. You can't dictate, and you shouldn't dictate to anyone exactly what they're going to say, but just give them a general idea of kind of the feel that you're hoping to set with the speeches. If you're hoping to keep it classy, let them know that. If you're okay with it being comedic, let them know that. Generally speaking, though, you're going to want to set any boundaries that you feel strongly about. Hey, Khalid. Hey, Rebecca. Nice to see you. So if you definitely want someone to avoid telling specific stories, that's something you might want to bring up. If you want to avoid roasts, if you just feel that it's inappropriate for the tone of the wedding, or you're hoping to move things through quickly, make sure that you communicate that with your speakers. If you have language restrictions, like you would feel strongly that you don't want people to swear, or if you're okay with them just speaking the way that they speak, those are things that you want to set forward when you set those parameters, so that everybody is kind of working with a level playing field. You don't want someone to come in with a really touching tearjerker of a speech and the next person to come in with a stand-up comedy routine. Ideally, things are a little bit cohesive. Now, that's not to say that we want them all to be the same, because that also would be boring. But just generally setting a tone and setting some parameters is the first tip. Second thing I would recommend that you know, sorry, pardon me, hairball. Second thing I would recommend that you not do is wing it. I have seen some people wing some speeches lately, and it never goes well. There are very few people who are really gifted off the cuff speakers. And so I would suggest that you at least jot down your ideas. You don't have to write it out word for word, but suggest that to your speakers as well, so that they have their ideas in order, and that speech is going to hopefully go a little bit more smoothly. You also want to think about, if you're giving the speech, writing down the people to thank, because otherwise you'll forget someone and you'll feel badly afterwards. If you don't write it out beforehand, you'll forget the people that you wanted to acknowledge. I've seen couples who recognize half of the wedding party and then don't ever recognize the other half. You'll forget what you want to say to your partner, and you add a couple of drinks to that whole mix. If you don't write down what you want to say, it's going to just spiral downhill from there. So make sure that you're not winging it. I would definitely recommend writing out what you want to say, at least in point form, and have it printed out on a piece of paper. If you're reading from your phone screen, there's going to be this eerie blue glow on your face that's going to make your pictures look really weird. So write out what you're going to say, print it on a piece of paper. And thirdly, this is something that I'm seeing happening less and less, but I think it's so important. Don't forget to hug the person who just gave a speech. Remember that the people who are speaking are probably uncomfortable. Again, snakes in public speaking. They've probably just put themselves out there, put themselves in a place of discomfort because they love you, and they want to tell you why they love you and why they're so happy to welcome your new partner into your lives and all of the things. And it's all lovey-dovey and special. And they've just laid it all out there for you. So get up and hug them. Thank them for putting themselves out there. If they are... Hey, Sabrina, thanks. I'm not seeing every couple doing this as recently, and I just wanted to kind of bring that up because it is something that I think is really important. Get up or have the person who just spoke come back to the back of the head table or the sweetheart table or wherever you're sitting. They have just given you all the love very publicly, which is a lot. That's a heavy thing that they just did. So give them some love back. So simple, easy things, set some parameters, make sure that you don't wing it, and don't forget to hug the people who have just given you their love. And those three things, I think, will help to keep your speeches as an enjoyable part of your evening instead of one of those cringeworthy parts that we've probably all sat through. Hopefully your planning is going well. As always, I'm so happy to hear from you. Nice to see those of you who are joining me tonight. If you have any questions or thoughts or comments, or if you have a topic that you'd like us to cover, we are more than happy to hear from you. I would much rather sit here and yap about something that is useful to you instead of just pontificating about nothing out into the ether. So hit me up if you are not catching us live. If you're on the replay, you can always shoot me an email, amy@unmistakably.you.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope your planning is going well, and we will catch you here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good one. Bye-bye.